What is going on, everybody? Jimbo Thick here. We are back with the Expedition of the Damned, our Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th Edition campaign. I'm, of course, your GM, your DM for the night, Jimbo Thick. We're joined by the majority of the crew of the expedition. Let's do some brief introductions before we get into tonight's game. Let's start off with the lovable Dan Decker.
Oh, hey everybody, it's me, Dan Decker. I'll be playing Nog Throat Ripper, the only non-human in the
Mm-hmm.
party.
Mm-hmm.
We are all apparently damned. I have a panache for eating traitors.
Indeed.
Um, I have recently received a belt, the Butcher's Belt, which I am eager to ogre and use. Yeah, 10.5 feet tall, just a jovial kind of guy. Got a little fella rides my shoulder. His name's Roy Rumpster. He's a halfling cook, really
Mm-hmm.
good kid to have around,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
big cheerleader. And I have this enamored devotion to Mr. Luthor. Don't know why, but he's a good fella. He is. He's nothing wrong with him, whatever. Except he's missing right now.
Indeed. Well, let's slide on down to Nate.
Hello, everyone. Nate here. I'll be playing Lucien Levesque, human duelist, aged 19 or thereabouts, standing about 5'7", shoulder-length brown hair, wielding rapier, swordbreaker, sometimes pistol, sometimes repeating crossbow, a newly acquired cloak of deflection, gifted by the Ogre clan recently,
Mhm.
which I'm still very excited about. And yeah, I'm
Yeah,
kind of worried about the aftermath of this battle and getting back on the old sandy trail.
and exactly. We're gonna have to find out how all things are panned out. Let's slide on over to the Jumbo Smooth.
Hello, everyone. I am Jumbo Smooth. I play Luther Steinhauer. He's a master pyromancer, attractive, redhead, green
Master
eyes.
Pyromancer.
Yes, master pyromancer. He has an apprentice as a master. Not anymore.
No, he's dead.
He's dead.
He'll never get
Yes,
one ever again.
he's dead. He died from me, betraying me. I might add.
That is true. That is how that worked out.
You know.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah. So, Luther as a golem named Ignis,
Yes.
who was a metal golem who is wreathed in fire, coming from underneath the metal. He's a scary dude. He's slow and he's stupid, but he's a cool guy. He can't hit anything.
Cool
His
guy.
melee attack is very, very bad. But he's there to take hits. So maybe we'll see him take a hit today.
Yeah, maybe we will. Last but not least, Doobie 209.
Hello, I play Henry Berthold, the first knight, who on paper is on the cusp of becoming the next level. I forget what it's called. But in reality, he feels like a squire right now. It's 6'1", probably around the 200 poundish. Also attractive, but he doesn't need to boast about it. And yeah, he's taking a nap in the sands right now.
Taking the old dirt nap. All right. Well, speaking of dirt naps, last we left off, the crew of the expedition, while making their way through the great desert of Araby towards their ultimate goal of Sudenburg, that you've all been informed of, had come across quite the predicament in that you are being pursued by a sizable warband. You were informed by the Desert Wind, the Bahir roving nomads that wander the great desert, that felt some gratitude toward all of you. They informed you of the incoming horde, giving you time to prepare. However, they also informed you that their lives were more important than their fealty, as they left you to defend yourselves and wished you well. In so doing, you managed to erect a fairly decent defense, as it appeared that the majority of this horde, which appeared to be worshipping the blood god, you came to understand by the banners and the chants that this was, in fact, the Champions of Brass, a warband dedicated to the blood god, the stalwart god of murder and death, Khorne, whom had tasked his warlord, known as, I think we only said it one time, Kronak Blacksoul, a gargantuan knight in full plate armor, about the size of an ogre himself, wielding a two-handed axe that was constantly dripping blood from its brass fittings. Accompanied with a full company of Chaos Knights riding massive barded armored steeds, but the majority of the horde being mostly just like almost borderline naked cultists, slathering the mouth in frenzy, walking or running side by side with palanquins of bone totems dedicated to the skull throne, which was protecting said warband from certain transgressions. There was also a giant, as you remember, there was a chaos giant as well, moving in the midst, and what would have been a siege weapon of sorts, a skull cannon, was also coming towards you. However, through good luck and the reveal of Feng Shi's true talents, it was revealed that his cart, in fact, was able to mechanically turn itself into a great cannon with a single shot, but was able to destroy the skull cannon before it could inflict any further damage on you. In addition to that, you did plan out a very elaborate setup to destroy the knights in question. There was several barrels of black powder in reserve, as you no longer had any handgunners to use them. And a ploy was set up using Luther Steinhauer as bait, with Henry as well, as his bodyguard, to draw in the Chaos Lord and his knights, as they lost the range advantage on their prey, and you did so. You lured them in. You were able to successfully detonate the explosions after Luther put on a display of pyrotechnics, fiery magic, conflagration, I think it was called. Fiery conflict, whatever the fuck you call it. Yeah, that word. It happened. There was an explosion. Each of the barrels also detonating, destroying the majority of the main bulk of the Chaos's teeth in this fight. However, they were still able to close the distance on Henry and Luther, with the Warlord himself dueling Henry in single combat. Chaos Knights are, well, just Chaos warriors in general are definitely scary things, as you came to find out that even on their own, they were a force to be reckoned with. At the end of this battle, which you guys did do very well, I will add, for as small of a force as you had in comparison, through careful planning and some good rolls, you were able to repel the attacking force, ultimately destroying a few of the skull totems, breaking the almost blood-packed protection, specifically the rift into Khorne's realm that was summoning bloodletters, demons of his own, into your own. Able to destroy that, and then ultimately as Henry was keeping the warlord at bay. He finally, on the verge of failing, refused to keep himself aloft despite several attempts to do so. A man of his pride, refusing to bend to the whims of the dark gods, instead decided to eat dirt while his fellow knights were butchered by some of the other Chaos Knights. And he was saved by none other than the hero of the day, who will forever be known as Wolfram. Wolfram not only saved Henry, but broke the horde of the champions of brass in doing so. The remaining Chaos Knights broke off and fled, and what was left of the slathering, frenzied cultists likewise began to flee at the notice of their warlord being slain. Most of their frenzy being gutted out in the process. However, this was not a bloodless day, to say the least. And we will pick up with casualties just here in a moment. So, we are picking up at the end of the battle. As everything has gotten calm, Henry has been collected by his remaining knights. His trusty squire, putting him across his horse and his own horse and leading it back to the caravan. Luther in tow as well, with Ignis. As you all reconvene, Nazaro approaches with a somewhat report for Luther. Oh, well, that was harrowing to say the least, friends. We did fairly well in comparison. Unfortunately, I doubt that we will find much of use across these that we've slain. We only lost about 30 men, it appears. And then, of course, Sir Henry's knights. Sir Henry's going to make it, yes?
Did we heal him or anything after?
I don't know if we got
Was there
to
any
that part.
Not heal?
Does he need some
I don't know if we
cauterization?
got to that part. I don't know.
We didn't quite get there, I don't think.
Okay.
But
Okay.
he's stable. He's not like
Okay.
dying. But he's still unconscious.
Okay.
Baudry kind of like speaks up. Hey, the master is my lord is indisposed. I will treat him for his injuries. Excuse us. As he walks Henry away towards the small gathering of what's left of the knights as they move to treat Henry's wounds.
Luther would offer his services if need be, or Lucian, Nog, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Baudry just walks him off.
Very well. Very well. I'm sorry, Lucian. I mean, surely it's not witness to the melee that you were a part of. How did your men fare?
We lost a fair amount, but all in all, it could have been much worse. Your explosive ploy, I feel, may have won us the day. I'm quite grateful.
Good. It was a little bit worrying there. They kept coming after I hit them with the large fire explosion, and that was a little intimidating, so I ran. But noble Henry was able to hold off their leader, and The Wolfram here. Finish him off with a shot. Fine shot, Wolfram. Fine shot.
It's a day full of heroics. We must also thank Master Feng Shi. I'm not sure if you witnessed that resounding shot.
As you mentioned that, Lucien, you look over and you can hear the grinding of like mechanical parts. As you look over and Feng Shi there's like it looks almost like a wheel on the side of his caravan that he's like twisting with his old man back. Just and as he does, parts of the cannon are kind of like condensing and moving downwards until it ultimately sits and a wagon like cover kind of like almost like a sports car like comes out and like peels back and clicks into place.
Nog, I believe I saw you get struck by that giant. You're still standing, Nog. That's quite impressive.
That's why he is, sir. Indeed, indeed. Master Nog does all the heavy lifting, I might add. We could have did a fair amount of contribution in this here fight, I'd say.
It's true. It's true.
Pick up all kinds of things I can. Rocks and people and guns. I got a big gun now. Pick them all up.
That's right.
Yes,
Nog,
yes,
that's
of
right.
course. Well, let's see. I assume these stragglers are running away currently.
The most of them that weren't slain by your own men as they were running away, you pretty much, without the use of cavalry, there's no point in trying to chase them all down.
Yeah.
It's at a certain point the men just kind of stopped and returned back to the caravan.
Mm-hmm.
I will say there's still a sizable amount of cultists out there, but seemingly without a leader, they're probably not much of a threat out here in the desert. They'll probably die of natural causes at some point. But for now, surviving the battle, it is essentially midday-ish. What would you guys like to do?
At some point, when I come to, discovering what has happened.
Mm-hmm.
Should I tend to Henry?
Henry, I have a little private setting for Henry here.
Okay, I'll wait then.
Speaking
before we
of,
leave, I want to do something before we leave.
Speaking of Henry coming to, Henry.
Never mind, I'm still asleep. Never mind.
Oh, you awaken, Henry.
Damn.
You awaken, you. Baudry is sitting cross-legged in your tent looking at you. You feel rejuvenated, Henry. In fact, it appears that you have all of your vitality intact. Full wounds. Back to normal. As you sit up,
what about injuries?
Henry, you taste blood in your mouth. Coppery. Perhaps it's your own.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize there's blood dripping down your chin, across your shirt front. You're not wearing any armor. It's been stripped from you. The body just stares at you.
Audrey, can you fill me in? I remember taking a grievous blow and falling off the horse.
You do have a nasty scar, Henry.
Yes. Another one on my body.
You technically still have the injury.
Mm-hmm.
However, the effects are somewhat lessened than they probably should have. Your body looks like it has healed a considerable amount in a very short span of time.
Assuming for one who has bled as much as me, I feel awfully good for what we just partook in.
As you should, Lord. As you should. We lost two of our brethren.
Yes.
They were put to good use.
How so? You already lit the pyres.
Kind of tilts his head, Henry.
Of course. Yes. They've already been disposed of.
I wish I was around to do it myself. I'm sorry that you had to. But before we leave, I'm going to gather up the men.
Henry, why don't you give me an insight check real fast?
No, I don't want to. I don't want to be ignorant. Oh. That's a 1.
That's a 1. That is a critical success.
You're not ignorant.
Henry, as you're looking at Baudry, you can see visibly that his muscle mass has like increased considerably, I might add.
Mm-hmm.
In addition to that, his eyes have a strange, like, bloodshot look to him, as if he has not slept in quite some time. But what's a little more concerning is the fact that it looks like, and he tries to hide it, it looks like he is growing tufts of hair across his hand and his knuckles, not unlike what most men would. However, most of the men of Araby that you've come across are not extremely gifted with hair and fur. And it looks like possibly a few of the nails are a little more sharp than they should be. And his behavior is different. It's impossible to ignore at this point.
Yes.
Something has changed in your squire. Something possibly not good.
Audrey, gather up all the men. We need to have a conversation in private, away from the rest of the group.
Very well. I will gather what is left.
He sits up, moves out of the tent, and moves to gather the rest of your remaining knights.
I make sure no one's around, we're about to do secret things.
Okay. The men regather with you, Henry, outside your tent. The horses are tied up nearby. They kind of form a circle with you walking out into them.
We are all here, Lord Henry.
This conversation has been a long time coming, and I've been trying to hold it off as long as I can. But as the highest ranking knights left in this group, I have assumed the role of commander what is remaining of the Knights Panther. I give you permission. You can leave now. I don't know what's going to happen if you continue to follow my lead. Obviously, two have died. And I don't know if I am cut out as much as I thought to be able to protect you. You can return home once we make it to Sudenburg. Or we can part ways in Sudenburg. But before you go, I think it is best to address the curse I have put on all of you. And I look around, make sure Luther's not trying to spy on me or
Course,
sneaky
of course.
Wolfram.
Yeah, Don't worry. Sneaky,
Yeah,
sneaky.
yeah. Why don't you make an old perception check, Henry? Let's see if you can spot anybody.
I don't see him.
You don't.
I'm too caught up in the moment.
Not with a 96, you don't. You look around. You don't think there's anybody around, Henry.
Okay, all right. I was told by my grandmother that me and my sister were special. I thought it only applied to us, but somehow it's applied to you as well. There's a beast. I was told that was within us, and somehow I fear it has spread to you. I don't know if it was through my blood somehow getting into contact with yours, but I fear that following me is going to change you as well, for the better or the worse. I have done my best to hold it back. I fear that when we were fighting the orcs, it was released. Fortunately, I don't think anybody saw, apart from you all. But just know that I'm doing my best to try to figure out what it is. I inquired back in the city of Corsairs to no avail. I will try again in Sudenburg. And in order for it to not show itself as much as it's starting on some of you, I'm going to do my best to calm you down as well, as I have been able to so far fight off these rages. I know you all feel it in you. I would say I'm impressed that you've all been able to hold back so far. But we will continue to work on it. I would hate to see how the others would react to it, or possibly any witch hunters. There are tales of this in the land where I'm from. And as far as I know, they were all stories. I don't think they were real. But as I said, you have my permission to go, as I am your acting commander. Or you can stay. But my first act, as assuming this role now, is you will all kneel, and I will give you full knightlyhood under my command.
Baudry is the first to stand, walk over and kneel before you.
Touch him on each shoulder. And for now, they are all the newest members of the Knights Panther until we are disbanded.
As you knight your remaining, I guess they would be they're no longer squires. They're not necessarily squires anymore. Your new companions, Henry.
Mm-hmm.
Baudry stands before you. My lord, we will be going nowhere. I think I speak for the rest of us in saying that we are with you. Always. There's
Go
a
down the line, shake all their
wolfish
hands.
grin as he says so. If you shake all their hands, all of them feel strong. sturdy.
Yes. Yeah. It's amazing what a workout can do.
It is. It is quite indeed, Henry. Baudry turns to the rest of the men as you finish shaking hands after knighting them. To our Lord Henry, we pledge fealty. You will be the center of our pack, our leader, the one true alpha amongst the rest.
I will say nothing. I will nod to him. And as acting as the new knight commander, I am going to find where the rest of the leadership is of this party and assert myself.
Exactly. Indeed you will, Henry. Henry returns to the rest of you. Luther still combing over him and probably Nazaro. As Magister Eldebard barely got out of his tent for but a moment, just to make sure that the Chaos Horde had left. Then he returned back to his studies. But you probably see, you definitely would see Luther and Nazaro at least speaking. Also Wolfram kind of, apparently he is regaling a few of the harem guard with his feats of bravery and sacrifice, and how amazing his eyesight has gotten, how dexterous his fingers can be in all facets. As he's chatting them up as you walk by Henry, you approach Luther and Nazaro, who look up at you. My lord, Henry, you look fantastic for a man that was all but cleaved in half a moment ago.
Yes, well, apparently the injury wasn't as bad as it seems. If you don't mind, Nazaro, I'm going to assume former commander's role.
Of course. Indeed, I would love for you to take over your role as our knight commander.
I will do for now until someone... I'm only acting commander, so until someone else comes in to supplant me, I will fill the role.
I'm afraid, Henry, that this is a burden I have bared myself at one point in time. You are the last man standing, my friend. It is only you and will only be you. Till death do you part.
As well. That's a long ways off.
Indeed. War is a fickle god indeed. But we will stave him off this day and many more.
Well, as I look to Luther and Nazaro, what's the plan?
We push forward. Deeper into the desert. Towards soon. Perhaps we can reconnect with Hazim. But
that would be fantastic. If we could come across them again, or perhaps they'll come back in the night. I have no idea. I do not blame them for relishing their own skins, but it would have been nice to have a little bit of, let's just say, a little more experienced men fighting with us. But that is neither here nor there. I say if it would be all right with our Lord Commander and our Magister, of course, we allow what men we have left to rest. We will bury our dead and continue on the next day.
Of course. I will burn them in, as is custom.
So the men in my possession prefer not to be cremated. Perhaps you can burn the pile of heretics over there. That would be okay.
I would do that. I forgot your people are from worshippers of Mamidia. Apologies.
It is fine. We will perform our own rites. And he sees like a fanatical spark in Luther's eye and wants to just burn some corpses at some
Mhm,
point.
mhm, mhm.
We will just attend over here. You I guess Nog could probably help you gather all the corpses if he's not. I'm assuming he's done eating by now.
But Nog is always ready to eat. There's more food, evidence,
Nog
taters,
Nog happens
onions.
to hear this as he has been snacking on fanatics this whole time. Just yummy. All right. Well, as Luther begins to burn piles of heretics, at least the ones that Nog didn't eat himself, um, there is a corpse of a giant that was felled. It is quite literally gigantic. Before you get any strange ideas, the only one that could probably consume the flesh of this creature is Nog. The rest of you would be unwise to do so, mostly because it appears to be
Chaotic.
contaminated. Yes, exactly, with the fell energies of the dark gods, and it would be unwise to consume it. In addition to that, obviously, most of you do not have any cannibalistic tendencies and probably don't want to eat any of the heretics. And strangely enough, well, unsurprisingly, I guess I should say, there is almost nothing of value on any of the bodies that you discover. The probably handful of Chaos Knights that you are able to kind of somewhat reclaim. The blackened armor, most of it is ripped open from most of the dead ones are from the explosion that happened. But it is surprising how intact the body is despite it being exploded. Um, you're bearing witness firsthand to the integrity of what is known as Chaos Plate. However it was formed or fashioned, whatever metal is used is strange and durable, much more durable than anything in any of your current possessions. I will say, if somebody wanted to attempt to remove the plate armor, it could possibly. No.
They will be burned.
Yeah, burn it.
What
Yes.
about that big old axe? What happened to that thing?
Indeed, the axe is resting next to the gigantically dead warlord. His armor is mostly covered in brass. He has a massive brass collar. When Luther gets close to the warlord's body, his connection with the winds of magic dulls, as it appears that even in death, this collar has a hatred for all things involved with magic. The axe is laying next to the corpse. If you remember, it is mostly brass. It is large. It would be two-handed. It would be even on the more large side for a two-handed weapon. It would take someone of considerable strength to wield.
An ogre?
An ogre or a extremely strong man. Perhaps someone unnaturally strong that we know of.
What do we need an ogre to do?
Ogre?
We're looking around these quarters. I would recommend probably not scavenging any of the items that belong to these creatures. They are all cursed, blessed by the dark gods. I believe
Aren't
these
we
are
all a little
core knight
cursed?
followers. Yes, they probably turn you into a rage-filled monster. More so than usual, uncontrollable, and I say we just leave them here and let them rot in the sun.
Sun-dried, yes, yes. Sun-dried is delicious.
Magister Edelbard's pudgy form saunters up next to you, Luther. Well, that there is quite interesting, my friend. I can sense the power from here. He's referring to the axe as he's pointing at it, Luther. Look, it is bleeding fresh. Across the blade, there is literally blood soaking into the sand beneath it actively.
I agree, Magister Aldebrand. It appears to be a powerful artifact, but clearly it's cursed and can give us no benefit.
Of course it is, Luther. I would not assume otherwise, but as you well know, we can't simply just leave something like that out here. And neither is it within our power to unmake it.
I am aware, but to touch such a thing is to put yourself in peril. I do not wish to condemn a man to insanity for grabbing such an item.
One of the miscreants in our employ could do that easily.
I do not wish to sacrifice a noble son of the Imperium so frivolously, as I am sure you do not as well.
We risk much by leaving this out here, sir. What if, I don't know, some wandering nomad comes across it and falls to the ruinous powers in doing so?
We could try the fires of purification, if you'd like, Master Aldebrand. It would take considerable time and power.
I could tell you, just from looking at that item, that between the two of us, we do not have what it takes.
Well, perhaps we could bury it.
It is worth a try. You'd have to touch it to bury it. You're left with the same dilemma, my friend. Of course, I do have an alternative.
What is that?
He motions, and his own golem saunters over. As it does, it lowers what looks like a chest of some kind, large, almost like it's a massive chest. He lowers it down and places it in the sand. As he places it down, you can see it's engraved with various runes and magical writings. This should be able to contain anything we put inside. A little something I've prepared over our time in the sands. Would be not too difficult to contain it within the box. Then perhaps we donate it to the college for further study.
This thing bleeds like anti-magic, doesn't it? It's like
the axe, no. The collar, yes.
I am all for one for exploring darker uses of our craft on occasion. For the betterment of the Imperium, of course.
Well, I mean, of course, but this is simply for containment, of course. Research, but ultimately containment. We keep the item secluded where it can hurt no one. locked away in
Perhaps.
one of those vaults the College of Light enjoys so much.
Well, yes, perhaps the College of Light, or perhaps when we get to Sudenburg, we can donate it to the
Exactly.
local Sigmarite
I'm
cathedral.
sure that the followers of the one and true God Sigmar would
Yes, exactly.
enjoy the possession of such a item.
Hmm. Well, I will not stop you, Master Ordebrand, but I fear, I am worried that even your golem touching such a thing could have dire consequences.
Well, seeing as how it is laying next to the large collar there, the golem cannot get close.
Hmm.
We need someone to either drag the axe over here, or perhaps just place it in this box for us.
Oh, well, there's only a couple of individuals who could probably carry such an axe. Henry, and his knights, or
Where is the Lord Commander? He would do it, no problem. Oh, what a
of course
brave
he
soul
could
he
do it.
was. He fought the thing in single combat. Or so I'm
He
told.
could. Ah, not sure to be on that. I still have reservations about this. Not sure about that.
Are we all in the area, kind of scouring the battlefield?
Yeah,
I would kind of like to wander up during this interchange.
of course.
Uh,
You see the two magisters kind of
mhm,
looking out at the corpse of the warlord.
mhm. Uh, what do you make of his brazen collar?
Gorn is known for his hatred of magic. Believes it to be a cowardly way to fight. None of his users, none of his followers, are believed to be able to cast magics. Um, so he protects his followers with strange devices and charms that can dampen the winds.
This particular artifice, do you think it is cursed or merely enchanted?
Most things that are blessed by the dark gods are, um, we would call them cursed. I guess it's all a matter of perspective.
Master Lucien, do you think you could retrieve that item if Sir Henry will not?
This kinds of thing is beyond my knowledge. I just, I'm still haunted by visions of the, what was it? The glacier we encountered in the tunnels below the Sheik. Seems that any item that would confer a measure of protection against such a force might be useful, but as I'm not wise in such matters, I would defer to your judgment whether or not risking a curse would be worth the trouble.
I would not wear
Aldebrand,
anything or touch anything that they use.
this still leaves us with the dilemma, Sir Henry. It is necessary for us to lock away this item. We cannot simply leave it here.
Unfortunately for you, Magister, I'm not a part of your organization. And I will turn around and walk away.
Still, you see the need.
It is literally bleeding blood into the sand. On the ground.
You just must move it 10 feet into this box. That's it.
Yeah. I have no use for a chaotic weapon.
Henry walks off.
It's as cool as it looks.
Aldebrand turns towards the mighty Nog.
My friend, perhaps you can lift this item and put it in this chest for me, yes?
I reckon I could lift it. Don't know if I should. Maybe.
I assure you, you will be fine.
Everything's all right. Mr. Luthor, should I pick up this?
Trust
What
me,
do you
bro.
think, Rory?
He seems oddly silent. I believe it is the perfect opportunity to lift this item and put it in the chest, sir.
If you say so, I'm gonna trust you. You seem like a trustworthy fella.
Nog walks over, saunters over, places his hand on
Oh,
the
yeah.
brass
On the
axe.
absolute cursed item.
He
yell
already
out,
he grabs it as Luther finally gets his wits about him.
Yeah, too late. I asked you
Nog,
for help, Luther.
Nog, you pick up the axe.
my child.
Oh, no.
Feel a warm sensation course up your arm.
I did have to keep-
However, you are resistant to the effects of chaos.
Heck yes. Because I am chaos.
And for a brief moment, you are able to stave off any consequences of holding this item.
All right. Just
You
long
grab
enough to
it.
put it in the chest.
Rory says, quick, Mr. Nog, put it in the chest. As you,
Is this a ring of power moment?
possibly. It
am
would
I-
have
am
been.
I- am I
It would
am I
have
tempted?
been. You bring it over to the chest. It's actively bleeding. You suddenly have the desire to lick the blade, but you stave off the desire to as you place it into the opened runic chest.
I don't know, man. Nog's much better with his intrusive thoughts. Gotta lick the blade. It's a bad idea.
Do you want to lick the blade, Nog?
I mean, he would succumb to the impulse. He's not very smart.
Okay. Nog. All right. Before you put it in, you jerk your tongue into it.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me a endurance check, please.
Endurance. All right. Let's see how
Yes.
I'm good at this, surely.
You are
This was-
good.
I never make mistakes. I only ever make good choices.
You are good.
So let's roll the beautiful D100
Mm-hmm.
on this endurance. Rory gives me a boosty boost.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, 61 under a 65 plus Rory, so that is 1
2
level of
degrees.
success. 2 degrees,
Yeah, 2 degrees of success. Okay. With 2 degrees, Nog, you're able to fend off any intrusions that may have happened.
Yeah.
You do feel like a burning sensation across your tongue. The blood doesn't taste like blood. It tastes almost like what you imagine fire to taste like if you were to eat it and consume it.
Yeah, I bet Mr. Luther knows what that tastes like.
So you kind of pucker your lips and kind of.
Yeah.
Aldebrand looks fascinated at you. He kind of looks at you closely for a moment as you place it into the chest. He then motions for his golem to close the chest, reaches over, and his golem's about the size of you, Nog. Also burning, likewise, similar to Luther's. Closes the chest, grabs it, hoists it back on to its shoulders, and moves back towards Aldebrand's tent. Seeing and feeling what that blade did, Nog, we will be coming to that in a moment. Are we sleeping for the night, or do we have more coming? Nobody? Good.
Probably sleeping.
I do want to talk to Lucian eventually.
Go ahead, Luther.
Okay.
Now's your time. Unless you...
Forgive me, I'm also changing diapers.
Well, if you, we'll give you a minute then.
Yeah, give me a minute.
All right. As the chest is brought back to Aldebrand's tent, Lucien, you're tapped on your shoulder by a slender female that you are oh so familiar with, Johanna de Vries. The men have been buried at this point. Nazaro has asked if anybody would like to speak some words. I felt that it would be fitting coming from the man who led them.
Certainly. And I'll follow to.
Yeah, she leads you back to what almost looks like a mass grave. It's a big hole in the sand that has been dug by the remaining veterans of the Bold Bastards. They look towards you, Lucien, as you're pretty much their most senior captain outside of Nazaro, who leads the band. Everyone's quite they look to be they're not in bad spirit, but they are a little disheartened with the heavy loss.
When Lucien is done saying his words, Henry will sing a song of his homeland, of Midland, a la Pippin, in Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
Hell yeah, bro, dude.
If you have anything you would like to say, Lucien, you can, or we can just defer it. It's up to you.
Do not have many words for such an evening. Other than I'm grateful to still be here amongst each and every one of you. I left my homeland some years ago, thinking that I was fleeing the forces of chaos. But it seems that I, or probably many of you, feels that it is somehow attracted to me, to us. It seems our strange curse, our burden, perhaps our life's work, to do battle with it. And for that, while I'm deeply saddened by the loss of our comrades, I'm also deeply honored to fight the forces of chaos by your side.
They all look towards you, Henry, and one after the other, they'll kind of nod. And within moments, a few men gather their shovels and begin to cover the bodies as Henry begins to sing with the voice of an angel.
Thank you.
A
native song of Midland,
native song.
People who know the words, may pick it up.
Wolfram, of course, begins to sing in his interesting falsetto, added. A few of the other men as well pick it up as well. And after enough time has passed, everyone kind of returns to their own camps, so their own beds and whatnot, and everyone is going to break down for the night, with Luther approaching Lucien before we take our nighttime slumber.
Lucien, it was good to see you. I think we have not had an opportunity to talk often. I spoke to you earlier about you had witnessed my visions when we fought the Empiric Fiend. But it was all a blur, but I believe I saw something that implicated Wolfram, companion, in some sort of scheme, perhaps, deal with some mutants of some sort. I also received another troubling vision of sort. These things cannot be trusted. Regularly, I'm not a seer, at least I do not believe I am a seer, but I believe I saw something else. Well, this is trouble. As you've known him the longest, is there anything that Wolfram has ever done that would show his loyalty to the Empire, perhaps?
Perhaps not outright disloyalty to the Empire, but certainly first and foremost loyalty to himself. His own interests. It cannot be coincidence. Well, I too have cooperating sources that implicate him in such a way. It's independent sources that I am coming to the firm belief that he is compromised.
Could have been just my imagination. We were setting out not too long ago. I reached for his hand. I believe I saw something. I couldn't be sure. I thought he wounded it somehow. He's kept it bandaged for a while. Perhaps some sort of aesthetic he's going for. But you swore. I saw something. I do not like to accuse the man. But just like I said, as this is most as you are the most familiar with him, I was hoping that perhaps you can gauge him a little better than I would, and perhaps keep a closer eye. Just to be safe. I'm sure nothing is wrong.
I am not. In fact, I'm becoming ever more sure that something is wrong. The question is what to do about it. I think you may be right, just vigilance.
Yes.
As spiritually and now, as you hint, mortally corrupted. You still have Eustace as a party.
Yes.
And what's more, as we get nearer and nearer to Sudenberg, I still cannot shake the feeling that these rodents still have plans for us. Perhaps for you and for your order, for whatever we seek to do in Sudenberg.
They do seem very keen on us magisters.
Don't know if it's worth it, but I have half a mind to keep a closer eye on Wolfram, as I think that he may still be a pawn in their plans.
Well, yes, let us keep an eye on Wolfram. I plan to observe everything he does as closely as possible, just to be sure, as perhaps nothing is wrong. But yes, thank you for this conversation. I'm glad you are also concerned about Wolfram.
I value your
I'm beginning
confidence.
to think I was paranoid. Just looking at shadows in the dark. But Wolfram and I have had scuffles before, verbal scuffles usually, but yes, he can. He concerns me. So thank you for this conversation. I feel much
Likewise.
better.
As always, come to me whenever you see fit. You are in my confidence as you are in mine.
Thank you. And there may come a time when I might call on you to help me confront Wolfram if we find more evidence, and perhaps we shall see what he has to say. We shouldn't accuse him without hearing him.
You can count on me.
As you finish your conversation, you return to your domiciles for the evening. And we pan over to a recent knight commander rolling side to side in his bedding,
Yes.
sweating profusely as he's trying to sleep, but he's having strange fits. You feel hot, Henry. So hot. Henry, I need you to make a cool test. You will need 3 levels of success.
3. Okay. Oh, that's
70's not going to cut it.
I'm gonna re-roll.
Okay. Okay.
Oh.
31. That's much better.
Damn it. I have a -20, right?
Um,
For my injury.
you do
Yes.
currently
That will give me the -20 puts me at 2 levels of success.
2 levels.
That's for all tests?
If you
All
have
tests.
It's
a
all test.
another fortune point, you can make it another success, right?
You could add it to it to make it 3 levels of success.
I want to burn 2 fortune points right now.
What's the worst thing that happen? You know, you rage out and kill everyone in camp. Who
It's
knows?
true.
Bro.
It's true. I don't want anything bad to happen, so I'll use a fortune point.
Okay. With 3 levels of success, Henry, you and you let out a growl. Inhuman. You kind of wake up and look around for a moment. You're not exactly sure what just happened, but the fever begins to die down, and you lay back down in your soaked sheets and try to get some sleep. And I feel like that's a good time for us to take our first break.